Hi friends, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda, and today we are in my car because we are going to be heading to my favorite greenhouse. They just opened for the season on Friday. Today is Sunday. I was waiting for today just because it's a little bit warmer, and yesterday I had a female entrepreneur meetup where I got to meet a ton of beautiful, inspiring women, and today I get to spend it in my garden. So I'm heading to Funky's. There are a few things that I'm looking for, mostly some onions and a good quality potting mix for refreshing my Greenstalks. So I'm actually looking for Happy Frog. I think that's what Greenstalk actually recommends. It's their favorite option, and it is a really high quality potting mix. So let's go to Funky's. So I ended up getting 2 bags of this back dough, which I've heard good things about. And it was fairly cheap. It's only $10 a bag. But I've heard good things about it. And then I did get 2 bags of the Happy Frog. So super excited. Took a few videos in there, but I didn't really talk, only because it's so quiet and peaceful and people are just kind of looking around. But I found a few broccoli types that I have never grown before. I think I got a broccolini, which is super exciting. And then I got cabbage, as well as I think a cheddar cauliflower, which also have never grown. I do grow a lot of different things. This year I was not very successful in growing spring crops, so I decided to support local. I did pick up a few onions as well. I had really good germination on my onions, but there were a few that didn't quite make it. But we will be planting onions out today. So I'm super excited to add a few more and another variety that I don't have. And then of course, I got my all-time favorite barbecue rosemary variety. It is my favorite. It is not perennial in my area, so maybe this year I'll go ahead and dig it up at the end of the season and put it in a pot so I can overwinter it. Because every year I will go and purchase it because it is just so phenomenal. It's cold. But I did get some Happy Frog. That is a soil conditioner. Since I'm going to be just topping off my Greenstalks and not getting them a completely fresh thing of soil, I am just getting soil conditioner. If I were to do a complete refresh, I probably would have done the what is it called? The Ocean Forest blend that they have with Happy Frog, or Box Farm. And then I got the back dough. So we'll see what goes. what I end up doing. And I'm going to use the conditioner on the green stalks, and I think I might be using the back dough for up potting. Yeah, I love funky so much. Again, if you guys can't grow the varieties, I highly encourage you to support local. Buying these plant starts is fairly cheap, at least at this local greenhouse that I go to. If I were to buy these at Home Depot, they'd be like $6, $5 for 1 or 2 plants. Meanwhile, here it was only $2.99 for 2 plants, which is awesome. All right, so we've got a good pallet of onions. A lot of these I've homegrown. All these guys on the side. This one is from Funky's. It is a little bit smaller than my starts. Yeah, I started mine on January 14th. Obviously I don't know when they started theirs. So mine are a little more established. That is perfectly fine. I need to reference my seed time garden planner to see where exactly I'm going to be planting things. I am about partway finished with getting my garden plan set on Seed Time. If you haven't heard about Seed Time, I'm not affiliated or anything. I'm just kind of trying it out this season. Because typically I do like a paper method where I draw my garden and write in labels, and about halfway through the season, when I start randomly planting things, I'm no longer using it. So I'm trying a different method this year, but it is basically a website where you can input what varieties you're growing, and it will go ahead and calculate when you need to start it, when you should be transplanting based on your estimated last frost and your estimated first frost. So it gives you that grow season, so that you don't have to do the math. And that's really nice, and you can set up like succession sowings and all of that. So trying it out this year, I don't think that I've added onions into that planner just yet. So I need to go ahead and reference and see where I have things planted to make sure that I'm not like taking up space that had already been allotted to other things. And then I need to get into my garden and start getting rid of all of the dead things, because I've kind of just left everything so far, and it is time to kind of deal with all of the dead plants from last season. I think I have my idea of where I'm going to be planting things now. I went ahead and added those things into Seed Time, so that I could figure out where I'm going to be planting them. And I think I've settled on my wooden raised bed I built about 2 years ago now. I do need to do some maintenance on this, because when I first built this bed, I did a lasagna layering method with sticks and such at the bottom layer so that I wasn't spending so much money on soil. I did put a good quality soil on the top layer, and it has settled a whole bunch since then. So the plan, because I do have some perennials in here, is that I'm going to go ahead and dig those out with as much of the root ball as I can, and then go ahead and add in some soil from my original Greenstalk over there. That soil is actually not the soil that was recommended for the Greenstalk, so I'm going to be using a better quality potting soil in that Greenstalk, but I'm going to utilize that soil still and put a nice layer on the top of this bed so that I can go ahead and get it filled up more, because it's pretty low. I have a clump of soil. This is actually from one of my other pots that it had its last day this last season. So I do have, I think this is catnip, and I have a lavender bush here that is not quite back, and then I have a Shasta daisy, and parsley that decided it was overwintering, which that will go to seed this year, because that's how those ones work. And then I just kind of put the tops of all of my corn stalks in here. So what the plan is I'm going to take this and these guys and kind of dig them out with a lot of their root ball, so that I can put a good layer of soil on top of this. I'm going to take the soil from my original Greenstalk over there, because that is not good soil that I have in there. So I'm going to take, well, it's not bad soil, it's just not the right kind of soil for the Greenstalk. So I'm going to take that and layer it on top of this bed and then go ahead and replant this stuff so that it is up higher in the bed, just because it's down about a good 8 inches, and I want to bring that level back up. And then I will plant some of my onions along the sides here. This bed, I think this season is going to be some pepper plants. I might have some melons on the side so they drape over, and then just some random herbs. So I need to get this bed prepped so that we can get those onions in. And then I think the other area that I'm going to be planting onions are right here, and then on this side as well. And then also a nice block of onions in my fabric raised bed right here. So I got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get you guys set up on a time lapse so I can get that bed all squared away and I can get those onions planted. While I'm doing that, I do have 2 rose bushes that I got this season from David Austin. I'm super excited about this. I've never grown roses. Every few years my mom moves, and every time she moves I buy her a rose. And last year for Mother's Day I bought her and my sister a rose, and I got myself one. The one that I was going to gift to her ended up not being up to their quality, so they said that I could either decide to pick a different rose to be sent that year, or I could wait another year and get 2 rose bushes. So I waited a year and I got 2 rose bushes, and I gifted the one that was originally for me to my mom. So this year I get to enjoy some roses. So these guys need to soak in this water for about 2 hours. So I'm going to let these guys soak while I'm doing all that yard work, and hopefully by the end of that I will get to plant these guys. After they're done soaking, I'll go ahead and actually let them or sprinkle them in some mycorrhizal fungi, and this is just going to help get them established. I also need to find a spot to plant these guys because I have no clue yet. All right, so this is my 5-tier original Greenstalk. I put just a compost from a local place to me called Bazax. This stuff is not really intended for the Greenstalk. I think Greenstalk actually recommends Happy Frog, or gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but Happy Frog. So I'm going to go ahead and get this refilled this season with Happy Frog so that I have a better shot at a really good Greenstalk production. Just because this is only 2 square feet of space and it's all vertical, and you can grow so many things in these deep pockets, from tomatoes, peppers, cabbages. The possibilities are kind of limitless with this. So I want to give myself the best chances because last season I did not. So plan is to disassemble this, get all of the dead tomato plants from last season taken out, and then we'll go ahead and get this soil topped onto my bed. Need to grab some garden shears. I'm just going to cut this stuff at the base of the soil and just leave that organic matter in there. I did originally plant some garlic in here. It didn't fare too well over the winter. I forgot how heavy these things are. They're filled with soil. It's going to be a hard day's of work. I think I'm also going to be moving this Greenstalk, because I don't know if you guys can tell, but right now I'm in the shade. So this is not an ideal spot for this, especially if I'm going to be putting plants in there that need full sun. And we haven't even gotten to the part of the season where my trees are fully bloomed out with foliage. All right, I think it's all the foliage. Gonna get some CrossFit in today. Really hope there's no spiders hiding out underneath of these layers. These are the days that I wish I had a wheelbarrow. Fortunately, I do not. Ew, that's a big, scary spider. Literally just said I didn't want any spiders, and there's one hiding out in the watering disc. That layer. Okay, one more. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I lost the footage from me emptying all those layers. So I did empty all layers into this bed and just kind of spread it evenly out. So I don't know how happened to the footage, but you get to see the next part. Okay, so I grabbed 3 varieties of onions for this bed. I've got my Zimbrune shallot, the flat of Italy, and the yellow of Parm. This season, I really wanted to try to grow onions from seed. Make sure this goes on here. And I had fairly good germination with a lot of the varieties. I did try to plant some varieties that were a few years old. Onion seeds do not have good germination rate after a few years. You really should be using your onion seeds for the year that you purchase them. That is not like other seeds. So like tomato seeds, you can probably keep on hand for quite a few years and still have good germination. The germination rate may decrease some over the years, but onion seeds, I think every year their germination rate like decreases by half. So I overseeded like hell. These varieties, some of them were older seeds, some of them were newer seeds. I don't know if it was my thing or what. These were started on January 14th, so it's been a good couple weeks. And some of them have different storage qualities. Some are more for fresh eating, some are more for storage. I have some Alyssa Craigs that they did really well with germination. Those ones I'm going to put into bigger blocks up on my upper beds and in that fabric raised bed. So I do like to overseed my onion seeds because they have such strong roots. It's much like the pepper seeds and the tomatoes. I overseed those too because they do fairly well with being overseeded and then just kind of pulling apart as you're needing to up pot. Onion seeds are not much different from those. So I only have 2 onion starts for the yellow of Parm and two and like a very wimpy one Zimbroon shallot, which I think that the Zimbroon shallot I heard I think I heard mixed reviews about. I don't know if that was quite the I can't remember if that was the one. I know there was one onion seed that I purchased that had mixed reviews, and it did well for some people, didn't do well for others, which is very typical of any gardening because our climates are all so different. It's really hard to say that's a bad variety because it may be bad for some people and it may be phenomenal for others. So I like to try things out and see how it works for me. And again, this could just be errors on my part. It could be nothing to do with the seeds themselves. But let me stop rambling. Let's get these guys planted. I did pick up my laptop so I can see which varieties I decided to plant in here. So I have the Flat of Italy in my Zimbroon shallot on this side of my bed, and then I have the Yellow of Parm on that side. So I'll have two seedlings over there and a couple on this side. And this is going to be a bed full of my pepper plants, as well as I have a butternut squash, the Waltham butternut squash in here, as well as just some different varieties of herbs. So let me put my laptop somewhere where I'm not going to break it, because that would be unfortunate. Let's get you guys close in. I'm going to set my Yellow of Parm on that side. Get these guys over here. So I'm going to stay along the side of my garden bed right here. I'm going to start with the Zimbroon shallot and just basically work them apart. You can see this is my wimpy seedling, which I don't think is going to do much of anything. And then we've got this guy. This guy looks good. This one, not so great. So we'll just make a little home for them, get the roots nice and covered. I'm not going to bury these deep. We just need the roots to be covered. We don't want to cover the bulb too much because then it won't do what it's supposed to do and bulb up for us. So I'm going to just stick that guy in there. I'm doing about, I would say, 3 inches apart for these guys. Stick my tag in there, and then I'm going to do the Flat of Italy. Got some soil in there. And this one has quite a few more seedlings. So I've never actually planted onions in the spring. I think last year or a few years ago, I don't even know anymore, I tried doing a overwintering of onions, and then a couple of years before that, I tried doing the same thing, but I think I planted them in like the heat of the summer instead of right now when it's kind of chilly outside. So I'm really hoping that trying this way will have better results for me. Just because I've never been able to grow, well, I grew one or two that were fairly okay sized, but they weren't anything phenomenal. Nothing to write home about. So trying to do something a little different this year in the hopes that we get some good onions, because I cook with onions almost every single meal, at least every dinner. So I'm going to do like a offset planting. So I've got like a zigzag. So I can try to get a little more in my space. Again, making sure that those roots are fully submerged under the soil so they're not getting hit with the sun. Get these guys out of the way so I can actually see where I'm going. last one for this side. Right here. All right, and there we have it. We have a good little smattering of some onions, and now we'll move on to this side. We only have the two. Oh, so many of his roots just came off. This one has a really good root system, but this one has one single taproot. So we'll see how that guy does. I'll move these cool little mushroom dudes over here. I'll put these guys closer over here. And I will go ahead and water these guys in really well so that they have enough moisture to go ahead and get their roots established in my bed here. Look at that. We got some onions planted, guys. All right, so we have everything planted back in this bed for now until summer planting of crops. Got the Shasta daisy trimmed back. I've never really done this with lavender, so I don't know if this is the correct thing to do. So don't follow me. I bought that last season on sale, and it did fairly well with blooming. I know you're supposed to prune them back. They don't, from what I remember, they don't last a ton of years, at least in my zone, because after a few years, they get to be kind of unruly, and they don't look quite as well as when you first plant them, like the first season, because they start to get really wonky in shape. So I don't know if that's going to survive. If it doesn't, it's totally fine. And then we've got our onions planted along this side. Do have quite a mess, but I mean, my whole garden is quite literally still a mess. Oh, here is the undoing that my dog did that I still haven't done anything with. I need to rebuild that bed because it looks sad. And of course, my garden always blows in garbage from the neighborhood, so I've got a lot of garbage in my beds. We are going to move the party up here to this bed right here, and get this, get all the dead stuff out. I do still have some kale in here that is producing. Been munching on that, and some salads. Got some Brussels sprouts that have seen better days. I do have some garlic in here that is doing pretty well. Got 3 garlics in here, and then of course I think this is my Colorado blend yarrow. I love yarrow. This stuff is my favorite. It smells so good, and it is just such a pretty plant. It looks so similar to gosh. I just like how fluffy it is. I can't remember what the other plant is. But I just love it a lot. And it produces some really beautiful flowers. And it's just a nice little touch. Oh, we actually have another garlic right there. I think that one got replanted because I don't think I put that one there. So we're going to get rid of all of this stuff. We're going to leave the kale, and then give this bed a refresh and plant some more onions right there. So for this bed right here, I had cauliflower and stuff. Yeah, let's go ahead and get most of the roots off of those. Got a lot of cleaning up to do. That was some cauliflower. Maybe it was a cabbage. It was a cabbage. Got some tags. Get this weed out. All right, I'm gonna grab a bag of compost to put on that. All right, looking great. I'm gonna use this compost bag as garbage bag. All right, so the variety we are planting in this bed today are my Alyssa Craig onions, which, as you can see, I overseeded this pot, but I only got one single seedling. But if we look at another pot I have, look how many germinated in this one. So it's just kind of the luck of the draw, I think. I'm gonna go ahead and get these guys detangled. Let's see how many onions we have to start. Got a ton of onions in here. In this bed along this side, I am planning on putting some pole beans to go up on this trellis here. This trellis needs to be reset just a little bit. There you go. It's a super wonky trellis that I purchased off of Amazon a few years ago, and it has not fared too well over the seasons. That is okay. So we're gonna keep about 5 inches off of the side and plant a block of these guys. I'm going to start at this end. Hopefully, and keep these rows straight. That's the last one. So we got a few smaller ones still left over. So we'll go ahead and try putting these in some odds and ends spots in my garden. But this area is all Alyssa Craig's, which I'm so excited for. So I think I actually changed my mind about where I'm planting one of my onions. Instead of on my 2 in-ground beds, I'm going to do this big barrel thing I have. I have 2 onions in here. They're really not doing as well as my in-ground bed onions. I did a little experiment. I wanted to see how the garlic did in different areas just because I had so much extra. So I'm going to plant some of my flat of Florence, not flat of Florence, the red of Florence in this bed. And potentially my other onion that I got from Funky's today. Just because my in-ground beds need more or topped with compost, and I don't have quite enough compost to top them today. And this bed has a really good quality soil right now. So I figured I might as well just plant them here so I don't have to run out anywhere else today to kind of fix those beds. Stay away from the garlic. All right. Got the red of Florence in here with actually 3 bulbs of garlic. One that looks pretty okay and the other 2 that look kind of sad. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and finish getting some other things finished up in the garden. I don't want this video to be too long. I do want to say thank you guys so much for those of you who did join for my first ever live. I really, really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun, and I really think it's something that I will be doing again in the future. But I am happy that we got some onions planted today. We got beds kind of fixed up and sort of prepped. There's still so much to do. I really don't have that much of a yard or that much of a garden, but it is still some work. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider checking out some of my other stuff. I'll go ahead and pop up my most recent video in the corner here. But until the next upload, guys, thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.